Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the one and only October edition. Laura, how are you?
I am wonderful. How are you, Glenn?
Tip top.
Tip top. Has it been a good month?
September, start of October, it was great.
It was good. Don't lie, come on.
Don't
play it down.
I crashed the car.
Oh yeah, other than that. What were you doing, like 4 miles an hour?
1 mile an hour, and I fell off a little small cliff.
That sounds so much more dramatic than it was, wasn't it? It wasn't a cliff, it was a little...
It was a little hump.
Yeah.
Everyone has seen it, so yeah. Everyone's had a good laugh at me. It was very good. Yeah.
It was wonderful.
But
been anywhere nice?
Yes.
Have you?
I was at the World Dairy Expo, Madison, Wisconsin. Wow. It's been 4 years since I've been there. So yeah, really enjoyed that.
What a job.
It was,
Explain to me, just in a nutshell, what if people that are not familiar with that kind of...
World Dairy Expo is probably the world's best dairy show. It incorporates most of the states and some of the provinces of Canada take place, although this year with the avian flu situation, quite a few of the Canadian guys didn't travel just because it was a little bit more difficult to do so, but I think the best from Canada did take part, and they had a lot of success. But no, it was 2,600 cattle shown, over 1,000 trade exhibits, and people from milk producers and dairy companies from all over the world sharing knowledge and sharing their passion and enthusiasm. So it was a wonderful event. I go there purely just to see what's happening in the world of cows and the genetics. So that's
How many days is the show?
The show runs from Sunday to Friday. So the Holstein Junior show, actually Saturday, because the clipping and all that takes place on the Saturday. So it's Saturday to Friday. So it's and then the main show, the main cattle shows start on the Monday through to Friday.
And then they come out with a overall Supreme Champion on the Friday.
Supreme Championship takes place on Friday afternoon after the Holstein show. So that's always a well...
Who was the 2024 champion then?
It was the Jersey, Bailey from... Beautiful cow from Vieira Dairies in California.
Amazing.
And the reserve champion was the red and white Holstein. So no, it was very, very good.
Nice.
Very good. How has your month been, Laura?
My month has been good. Just
anything exciting happen in your life?
What's happened? What? Oh.
She's not going to tell people. You're now a director, Laura.
I know.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Can you believe that they've entrusted me with that?
Yes, we can.
So, that's exciting. That became effective the 1st of October. So, onwards and upwards now.
Yeah.
Keep this show on the road.
Yeah. And just to people that don't know what you do here, Laura, we all know, but tell people what you do here at H&H.
So, I look after all their communications in and out of the business, the marketing of the brand, and then I also look after their sort of more strategic projects, so the investment into the business. So that's like our new development that we've just announced.
Yeah, so
there on the south side of the Borderway property, big 3,000 square feet shed that'll be going up in the next 4 months. So that's exciting. And lots of different other projects that come in, solar development, all that good stuff. Sort of the more overarching projects.
Yeah.
So, it's exciting. It's moving the business forward and future-proofness. So we'll be here in another 50 years.
I like it. We won't.
No, we won't. No.
Just to clarify.
We definitely will not be. No, yeah. I'm hoping to retire at 55.
But the business will be. So that's
absolutely 100%.
That's the exciting thing for the community we serve.
It is, and I'm trying to think what other exciting things are happening. We've got next month we'll be able to tell you how that outcome pans out. But Joe's going down to our very own Joe Bowman's going down to the awards, isn't he?
Are you going along to that?
I haven't. No, unfortunately, I go on holiday on Thursday morning.
Oh, where are you going?
I'm going to Barcelona.
Oh, Barcelona.
So that'd be nice.
Have you been to Barcelona before?
I haven't. No.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
A lot of people say that.
You're going to love it.
Tapas and wine.
Yes. Yeah. Nice people. The Catalonian people are beautiful. They are passionate and they have great cuisine. You
Yeah.
must try to find, I don't know where the restaurant is. There's a restaurant that specializes in lamb. Do you like lamb?
I like lamb, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And you have to find it. It's just a beautiful little restaurant.
I didn't know that, like, so people from Barcelona are different to people that are, well, like, they're, what did you call them? Are they
Catalonians?
Catalonians, yeah. And they're sort of, they're their own, what's the word? Not breed, but you know what I mean.
Breed.
No, not breed. What do you call them?
No, so they have their own region. And so they speak Catalan is a little bit of a, it's not Spanish, but it's
Yeah,
it's a little bit more maybe leaning towards the French, like mixture of French and Spanish.
Is it kind of like the Welsh to the UK?
It's a little bit like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose they did. The Catalonian people were interested in having an independent country. I suppose Spain. I spent a lot of time in Spain, lived in Spain for quite a while when I was younger. We milk cows down in the south of Spain, and I really, when you travel around Spain, I always think Spain as a place of, it's almost like 5 or 6 countries. Really, there's lots of different regions. You've got the Basque region up in the north as well, and right over on the east coast, you've got, and they're very unique regions with unique people, and I think that's what I really love about Spain. But
we'll have to have an episode where we interview you, Glenn, because I just love it. Every story that we have, you're just, I lived there for a few years, milked a few cows.
Down in the south, in Murcia, in the little town of Totana.
Wow.
So,
but that's a story for another day.
Yeah,
this month,
está bien. And I did speak really good Spanish. The guys I met a couple of the Spanish guys in Madison, and they were like, "Didn't know you spoke Spanish." I said, "Well, I forgot I had."
What's Spanish for cow?
La vaca.
Oh, right.
La vaca.
Wow, astounding. Anyway, back to the subject in hand. So this month, excitingly, we have an Olympic farmer.
Oh, and we're looking, yeah.
An Olympic farmer. We have Glen Muirhead from up there in Crieff. And we're going to hear about his story, ask him about his farming enterprise, his journey in world curling, and where he proposes to go next.
Great. So, should we mention a little bit about our sponsors just before we get into it?
Yes, we should. We should
thank
always
them.
politely thank our sponsors for supporting this podcast. We have Finance for Farms and Herds Media. Herds Media do a wonderful job of producing our episode on a monthly basis, so we are much indebted to them. And Finance for Farms, also great collaborators with us, support us with a variety of different things, and also support the farming community with finance options for their businesses.
Let's get into this and let's meet Glen.
Let's go.
So, welcome, Glen. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So, Glen, I'm really looking forward to hearing about your story, your business, and as a very bad curler, I want to find out about that as well. So, welcome. Yeah, let's just start off, Glen, by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself, where you farm, and a little bit about that enterprise.
Yeah. Okay. So I currently farm in Perthshire in Crieff. So we moved here about 7 years ago. I'll maybe take you back to where it started. We were born in Kinross. My dad had a 100-acre farm in Kinross. That was when agriculture was quite challenging, and so him and Mum decided to sell the farm, moved up to Blair Athol, where they bought a guest house. So they were running a guest house, and this was the age where I was kind of just, through school and just kind of coming out of school. So we didn't have a farm, but I was very keen and used to help around all the local farms, and that's probably where my interest in sheep shearing started, because it was probably an inroad for me into the industry without having a farm. So I started up a sheep shearing run during that period, and through college. So that's probably where I kind of gained most of my contacts through, was my sheep shearing. So after I came out of college, when we stayed in Blair Athol, I rented a couple of farms over in Kinlochranich. We bought a little bit of ground, but just enough for 300 ewes, and it was a kind of upland farm. And the nature of the area, it was all estates round about, so I felt there wasn't really much room for expansion in the area, because it was, your typical estates are starting to take in all the farms in hand, and we just felt as a family that, if I wanted to grow into the sheep industry, there wasn't really going to be the expansion opportunities. So we moved down to Crieff. We bought a farm here 7 years ago. My brother, obviously 7 years younger than me, so he was slightly behind, but yeah, he's caught up, and he's the same way minded into the sheep, and we just got another bit of ground next door. So hopefully now we're kind of settled into an area where we can do what we want to do, and farm some better quality ground.
So Crieff Glen is just north of Perth, is that right?
It'll be directly
No.
west
Where's-
on the 85,
West of-
as if you're heading across
Okay.
the west coast of Oban, just that same route. So you're just 25 minutes really from Perth, where we are here.
Yeah, and Blair Athol, if anyone doesn't know, is just off the A9, isn't it? Between Perth and Inverness, isn't that
Yeah.
correct?
Just yep, the famous House of Brewer, just basically just south of the House of Brewer. So yeah, quite an upland area really.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It would have been this time last year. Our friends rented a big house up there. It's just an incredible part of the world.
It is a nice part of the world.
Yeah.
But no, so so where you farm now in Crieff, the farm consists of how many acres?
And the farm we have here, 300 acres, and we just got another 300
300
acres
acres.
next door. So
Yeah. And you run predominantly sheep on that farm.
yeah, all sheep. I rent in as much ground as I possibly can, within reason, accessibility, etc. So yeah, we're probably just undergoing an inspection at the moment. So we've got about 15 CPHs operating roundabout, just to,
Fantastic.
kind of just
How
got
many
to do
ewes
what
do you
you've
run?
got. We're probably just myself probably over about 2,300 at the moment, which I think is just much enough for what ground I've got, and my brother's probably between 700 and 800 at the moment, and that's breeding ewes. A contract manager, a grouse shooting estate up just north of the House of Brewer, actually. So I manage 500 blackface ewes on there for them. I take them off and winter them, and lamb them through the winter, and buy in about 1,250 blackface ewe lambs for running up there in the summer, and then I sell them as gummers in the back end. Quite a lot of those lambs I'll buy in myself in winter and sell into the estate. So that's kind of another little side gig, if you like, to my own sheep enterprise, which it takes me back to my roots up in that area. So I quite enjoy the hills, coming from Blair Athol, farming down here on the flats. There's a lack of character a wee bit, and I kind of miss the hills. So that's why I was interested in getting involved with that place up the road, really.
It's been I don't know an awful lot about Sheep Glen, if I'm being honest. But looking from the outside in, it has looked like a pretty good time for being in the sheep business. What's been the biggest challenge for you to get from where you are today? Like in that process, it wouldn't have been easy to buy a farm and grow the way you've grown. What's been the biggest challenge you've had to overcome?
For me, I mean, I'm lucky that my dad had a farm and was able to, do the best he could from that, and develop steadings and all the rest of it, which allowed us to buy land, which is obviously the biggest challenge for anyone getting into agriculture. But I was fortunate enough that I had my family behind us for all that. But my personal biggest challenge would have been getting the grass, getting the grass out and about, our own stuff to expand the numbers. It's a constant battle being able to get the land to farm. That's without doubt the biggest issue that faces folk like me that want to farm.
What want to get into it? And I suppose I hear I listen to like the Fed by Farmers podcast with Cammy Wilson, and he's obviously in the sheep game, and that seems to be his biggest issue, trying to like the availability of. And I would have thought up where you are, that would have been slightly different than in Ayrshire. Just on the scope, it seems like it would have been easier, but obviously it isn't easier in your area to gain a tenancy or to rent land or buy land.
No, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we probably moved out the area that we were in, was because, when you're surrounded by estates that aren't willing to let out farms, you kind of, your hands are tied. Whereas if you come down into, southern Perthshire, you've got independently run farms, and, there is grass through the arable farms that they're willing to let out. So, but I would say, you mentioned Cammy there, I would say I'm very similar to Cammy in that he got into agriculture through sheep shearing, which I did, and between the carling and the shearing, the contacts that you get through that is phenomenal. So, I already knew or know a lot of people, and that's the key to getting access to contacts for grass and grazing.
Who's the best?
Else.
Who's the best shearer?
So
Your Cammy?
I've never come up against him, so I wouldn't like to say. But watching some of his videos, I maybe wouldn't want to. Go up against him at the Highland Show for sure. But
I think we should have a shear off and a curl off.
Well, I think maybe we could get him there right enough. So maybe good idea. I was just a way to say, I was saying it's all about contacts, and the shearing and the curling gained me the contacts in the industry. So that's the two lines, the avenues that have allowed me to go to where I've gone today.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how you were able to find the time to be a successful farmer and develop that. That was starting any business is difficult, but starting a farming enterprise is incredibly difficult. But you had the time to be a world-class gold medalist. How and I think that's in your pedigree, your family pedigree. I think your sister's a Olympic gold medalist. Your father was a gold medalist in the European competition. So how have you found time to be a world-class curler and a world-class farmer?
Well, I curled before I farmed, so that probably made the curling side a bit easier, because the curling came first, because I grew up with curling when I was youngster before I farmed. So the farming kind of evolved around the curling, really, if you want to put it like that. But once things got a bit more serious as we got older, the two had to work side by side. So we trained in the evenings, basically as simple as that. We travelled to Perth 2-3 times a week. Once we got kind of higher up the ranks, we moved down to Stirling for a lot of our practices, and it was still evening sessions. So that worked well, and then getting away to Canada and Switzerland and all these other countries for competitions that would take you away for 2-3 weeks at a time, I had to basically sell all my lamb store. So I was the summer months, as you know, we don't curl, so that was okay for the shearing. And then I sold my lamb store in August, which freed up time through the winter. So that was a kind of I had to sell store because I didn't have the time to do anything else with the curling. So, and the way my head works, I quite like I like a date in the diary to get all my work done by. So these dates, I'm away to Canada and whatever, I just had to make sure everything was done, basically, so I could get away, and it worked. I look back now and wonder how it worked, but I think it's the same as everything. I think you manage when you're up against it.
So go ahead, Laura.
Can you just explain for maybe some of the listeners, because I think the further south you get from the border into England, people don't maybe fully understand what curling is.
It's a winter sport. It's played on ice.
What's the objective of the game?
An objective of the game, well, it's a game is split up into 10 different ends, like like bowls, I suppose, and the object is to score as many shots each end as you can, and that's basically get as many of your own stones as closest to this centre as possible by the end of the end. So, like, it's a bit like darts. If you've got the first throw, you've got the advantage. So curling, if you've got the last stone of each end, you have the advantage. So it's a tactical game, and if the two teams are peaksy, you want the last stone going down one of the last ends. So you've basically got the deciding shot. So it can come down to as narrow a margins as the last shot at the last end a lot of the time. And yeah, and like I said, I've probably lived in the shadows of my sister and my dad a little bit with their successes, but me and my brother, we worked away not too badly.
What's your most satisfying win, Glenn, in your curling career?
I think my most satisfying win was probably a World Curling Tour event over in Penticton in British Columbia, the very far side of Canada. It was the biggest World Curling Tour event that there was on the curling circuit, and we won that. I won that as skip. I played with my brother and Kyle and Cammy Smith, who are both dairy farmers in Gilton, just outside Perth. So it was a team of two sets of brothers, both all from farming. And it was actually Penticton. It was in the news there last summer. It was one of the places over on that far coast that was getting the wildfires. If you remember, it was quite surreal visiting the place, growing grapes and vineyards and all the rest of it, which I didn't associate with Canada. Playing in a lot of the other areas where it was just minus temperatures. And then you go across there early season and it's growing grapes.
It's a beautiful part, Western Canada, and that Fraser Valley is a beautiful part.
Who did you beat then as your satisfying win?
Who did we beat in the final? They were all Canadian. Well, we're actually, funnily enough, it was a Scottish team that we beat in the final. He travelled all the way there and he ended up putting another Scottish team in the final. But no, there was a lot of big scalps taken that weekend. It was the teams vary. They shake up a lot. The teams we beat probably don't mean a lot to you if I named them, but they were all ranked in the top 10 in the world, certainly. All these teams, and yeah, for me that was my personal. It's just an event that I'll remember, sort of thing. Obviously there's been a lot of other bigger world class events, but that was the one I enjoyed the most.
I can't say that I've had any big curling wins at all in my curling career.
Who do you play for?
Espatria Curling Club.
Lovely.
Yeah, so it's. I think if you see me curling, it would be a very fun event. You would laugh a lot. Yeah. If I get it into the circle, I'm very proud.
I think that's what we're missing is a lot of folk that you kind of maybe they dip their toe and they don't go back, or there's a lot of folk that have seen it and would like a go, but maybe the access to they don't feel like they've got the access. But yeah, I don't know, as a sport we maybe need to change our advertising strategy and try and get more folk into it. I don't know, but I guess
think
it's
you
the
should. I
same
think
as
it's
sports.
Yeah, it's a sport that can, for all ages, and it's quite social, which I kind of enjoy.
Well, it's very social at the local curling club to us, definitely.
Yes, and it's but it probably could attract a lot more people if it was just made a bit more fun. Really, there's a few serious guys who shout, like. I don't know what they're shouting. Hurry, hurry! But I don't know what that means. So they look. But it's good fun. I enjoy it. Yeah.
Does that not mean you have to speed up when you're rushing?
Yeah, But it's
It does.
I pulled
It
a
does
muscle
look,
last
yeah.
week. I pulled a muscle, and Rory did as well. Both of us came in the next morning and goes, that was the first game of the season. It was like, I've pulled muscle in my back sweeping.
Just amateurs, eh,
So
Glenn?
it is
Amateurs.
physical, is that
Yeah.
right?
Well, I wouldn't say that because it's just that was very funny. But it's I suppose it can be if you really go for it. You can, yeah.
No. You're fully retired now, or do you still play socially, or what happened there? How did it end?
That's you've opened a can of worms now. I didn't really envisage retiring or finishing. My brother's 7 years younger than me, and so the two Smiths are younger than me as well, a fair bit. And I'm only 35, so yeah, the whole changed through British curling and UK sport funding. And curling was always a very traditional sport in that you won the Scottish Championships, the national championships, and that gained you the right to go and represent your country at the World Championships. So after kind of UK sport, they felt like they held all the cards because they were the funders to the program. They decided that we want to be in control of who represents our country at the World Championships, because ultimately your success at the World Championships gains you your Olympic points, which gets you your berth at the Olympic Games, and that's where all the money's basically channeling into getting a gold medal at the Olympics. So they kind of forced British curling's hand in a way and said we want to select who represents us. So that kind of goes against all of what curling stood for in my eyes, and a lot of the curling fraternity as well. So yeah, it kind of turned into a full-time sport for those athletes that wanted that gold medal. And for me, full-time wasn't an option with the farm. And yeah, it worked for us being part-time, but yeah, they decided that they wouldn't hold a spot for part-time teams. They wanted full-time or nothing, which I strongly disagree with. I don't see why they couldn't. You couldn't be part-time for 3 years, and then if you were going to be in the running for the games, then you could go full-time for a year and make changes then. So, but yeah, that's the route they went down. They select their teams now, and everyone's full-time. So yeah, the idea of sport
I
and
never knew that.
winning to represent and winning is kind of gone out the window. It's now a selection. So for me, that's not sport. But hey, I'm better, so maybe someone else will disagree.
So when your sister won, was that on the full time? Was she a full time curler when she won?
Yeah, my sister was full time. She was full time for a number of years when we were part time. So that Olympics in Pyeongchang that we all went to, my sister, myself, and my brother, we would have been full time. Latterly going into the games, but before that, we
Yes.
would have been on a part time setup. Whereas my sister, she had been full time for a long time before that. But my sister, she's not in the agricultural way of doing. So she was, her life was curling basically.
That must have been an incredible moment for your family, like your sister winning a gold medal. How did the celebrations take place when she came back home, and the whole community must have been a great party.
Yeah, it was huge. It was it just kind of it opened your eyes to the folk that you didn't really maybe think followed the sport, and suddenly everyone comes out woodwork and line the streets where she lives in Stirling. Everyone was lining the streets for her arrival home, and we went down to see it. And yeah, it was an incredible a moment, and for her, it probably one of the games that she probably least expected it, sort of thing. She maybe
Sport's a
probably would
funny
have
old thing, isn't it?
held her hope higher. I know exactly. You just don't know when it's going to happen for you. And
This is a good time to hear from our sponsors.
Finance for Farms.
Finance for Farms, we're specialists within the agricultural sector.
The whole leasing of cattle's strange. A lot of people haven't heard of it before and they wonder how it works, but it's really straightforward.
Find a batch of cows I want to buy or do a deal on, I can phone them up and say, what's the chances of doing a deal on these batch of animals? And they'll say yes or no.
Anything that I've asked, or requested and spoken to Shire about has been dealt in a, quickly in a professional manner, and it's either a yes or a no.
What makes Finance for Farms different to mainstream funders and banks is speed and efficiency. A farmer can call us today, say he's looking to go to market tomorrow, and the finance will be in place for him to go the following day and purchase the animals he requires.
To learn more about the finance solutions available to support your farm's growth, call the Finance for Farms team on 01827 300 333 or head over to their website on www.financeforfarms.co.uk.
And also our Herds Media is our partner in this one and only podcast. Check out all of their services, their photography, videography. They're the Cumbria's leading guys when it comes to that. So check their website out and their Facebook and Instagram pages.
Since I retired, it's given me a bit more time on the farm. So I've managed to secure the grazing of a dairy farm at 600 acres. So I now fatten all my lambs, which I would never have been able to do had I been curling the way I was. So yeah, as one door closes, another opens, as they say.
That's fantastic.
Oh, I know what we went off there when we were just saying the proudest moment must have been the 3 Muirheads.
Yes.
At one Olympics, which is pretty special. I don't think there's many families that will have done that.
Do you know if there's any other family that have achieved that with 3 siblings all in the one Olympics? I would struggle to.
No, sir. I couldn't tell you. It's probably unusual for it all to happen in the same games, certainly. So yeah, as a family, it was special. It was yeah.
And are you still quite competitive? The 3 siblings. Do you have like curl-offs between see who is the best? Who is the best Muirhead curler?
I would say that competitiveness is it's in your nature. It doesn't disappear. But generally, we're playing with each other. We're in the same teams when we play in these social leagues and stuff. So we're not actually playing against each other that often. So yeah, we're probably not really up against each other very often. But if the occasion occurs, certainly yes, very very much so.
Just say you're the best, and then we can.
Then we can move on.
So
we know that anyway. So.
Yeah, good. But I found that very fascinating. But so where's your business heading now, Glenn? What's the future? What's the future of the sheep business in Perthshire now for you and your family?
Yeah, well, we've kind of just been on an expansion mission, since we started the sheeps, and it's just been content. That's kind of just been year to year ongoing, and now we've got this extra bit of land next door, which we're fortunate to manage to get a hold of, which kind of secures myself and my brother's futures, because we both shared the same place here up until now. So yeah, that's just going to just take a wee bit of working out and settling down into that new scenario. So yeah, I think the sheep numbers are sort of where we can handle with the ground we've got. Just going to be a wee bit tight this coming winter because we know we've got that extra grass next summer. So get through this winter and this next year and just feel our feet a wee bit with this. In terms of beyond, I don't know. I think we're probably almost, if I dare say it, kind of settled where we've managed to get to.
Yeah. What's are you still shearing sheep as well as a contract shearing?
Yeah, so we kind of got ourselves up to about 30,000 sheep. So I had one trailer doing all the work, a lot of the time, 3 of us going, and then the last couple of years I've started putting 2 trailers on the road, my brother taking one and I would take the other. So, and then it wasn't until I hurt my wrist at the start of this season that I couldn't do a lot. I sort of started to quite enjoy not shearing as much and organising others. So yeah, I might start taking a back seat with that because the sheep numbers are up where they are, and the value that's in them and the lambs is getting quite considerable. So I think for me, I need to work out a sensible balance of where my hours are going in the summer. I think I need to do less shearing going forward, but it's a very difficult thing to start to tone back because I spent all my life building it up from when I was at school, and I've still got customers that I started with like almost 20 years ago. So so I'm not going to give it up lightly.
I watched a video the other night of this. I don't know if it was in Scotland, but a 90-year-old on his 90th birthday, he sheared a sheep. Did you see that? I don't know whereabouts in the world it was. I think it looked like. You did see that?
I saw it, and I'll not be doing that if I'm here when I'm 90. I'll let alone shearing.
You won't shear a sheep on your birthday. No, and I thought, wow, that was. I just thought that guy was phenomenal. Huh? Absolutely phenomenal.
How many sheep do you shear in a day, Glen?
Well, we can
on a good day.
My biggest day is 520, but a typical day would be like between 2 and 250. Consistent. Like 300's a big day, but I mean, when you've got stuff to do at night when you get home and that, consistently doing 300 is, I would say, it's just big enough days really. So just that 250 consistently is, we're getting through the numbers at that.
And what's your preferred, like what breed of sheep do you work with preferably at home? What works well up in Perthshire Hills?
Well, we're kind of not too bad, quite low ground here, so it's all cross sheep really. We use the Texel and the Beltex on. I've rent a farm over in Aberfeldy, which I've breed my replacements from, so they're predominantly Texel, Cheviot and Blackfaced. So I started breeding out of them with the Aberfield tup. So that's that I'm going down at the moment to try and just get a stamp through everything, because things were a wee bit, here, there, and everywhere. Just kind of what I felt was viable at the time, and it didn't really matter to me what they were, as long as they were a reasonable sheep that I could produce a decent lamb out of. I didn't mind what they were, but I'm starting to kind of breed some consistency through everything. I don't know what the best ewe is, because I did start on a kind of trying to breed the smaller ewe that produced body weight and over in lambs, and now the marketplace has changed. They want lambs heavier and heavier, and you get paid for every kilo that you put to market now almost. So these smaller ewes maybe don't have a place, but again, it's about what makes money. So you maybe, the pride's maybe you maybe just can't take too much pride and just maybe if they're smaller and they make less money, but you maybe get a couple of them where the ute costs less to feed. It's the route to go down. So sometimes I'm torn between keeping these smaller sheep that are cheaper to keep year round, or do we go for keeping the size into them to keep the weight of the fat lambs up? So
what's the current cost of production? What does it cost to? What's the current cost of production to produce a lamb? One lamb.
Never argued with figures. I would say we're looking at, probably if we're renting in grass through the winter, you're probably like that £20 mark, £20, 20, and then another £5 in vet and meds. So, and then another 20 quid for the summer. So you're probably looking at about £50 a ewe. This is off the top of my head. I probably don't crunch the numbers as much as I should be. So a ewe that's rearing a single, in my mind, is probably not really making you much. And it's the ones that have the twins that you're getting the second lamb. Hopefully that's the lamb that's going in the pocket. So
Yeah, that ewe that she's almost you'll be selling her complete body weight more or less, will you? If you get twins.
yeah, I would say, and you just have to take the singles that you have to take to get the twins. You take the singles, and they're probably not leaving you much. The ones that are rearing one lamb, I wouldn't have said. And then the ones with triplets, they're the ones that cost you the labour in the spring, so they're not leaving you anything. So yeah, it's just trying to get that for us an outdoor lambing system. So we lamb a bit later, kind of the back half of April. So I think that's where we can cheapen the job up with an outdoor lambing, less labour, and kind of the idea is a bit less feeding because we've got some grass. So, but it's not a decision we've taken. We're forced to do that because we don't have sheds to lamb that number of sheep inside. So we just have to farm the best we can with what we've got access to. So
No, it's been a phenomenal story. I think people listening to this, especially some of the younger generation, will listen with quite a bit of envy how you've been successful, able to buy your own farm, develop your farming enterprise, and be a very successful sportsman. How would, in that short space of time, you're only 35, Glenn, how would you define success currently? What's your definition of success?
I've got a good friend who went self-employed there a few years ago, and he kind of, he was humming and hawing, should we or shouldn't we be self-employed, or should we be working for someone else? And I define success as working for yourself. And if you're still afloat and able to work for yourself, then I view that as a success. So yeah, I'm happy to be able to clock off whenever I want and go and do something whenever I want, and as long as I'm working for myself and making it work, I view it as a success.
Yeah, excellent.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for your time, Glenn. I hope the rest of the inspection goes well. Have you got any curling games coming up?
I had a game last week, which was the first one this season, and I still thought it was far too early. We've got our first Super League game in, I think, next week. So, and then we play the Inverness Skins on the start of November. So it's quite a social event. So yeah, a few more competitions this winter, which is good. And it's us away from the farm, which is always a nice break. So yeah, our department inspection summary is actually the day after lunch. So I'm kind of got my fingers crossed with that as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time, and lovely to have you.
Thanks, Glenn. Take care.
No problem. Thanks for asking.
Well, what do you think of that, Laura?
That was cool, wasn't it?
Yeah. You obviously know Glenn.
I do know Glenn, yes. Yeah. He went to college at the same time as I did.
Did you really? I didn't know that.
He was 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But no, I it's very interesting. I find it fantastic. It's a fantastic story. He was able to buy the farm, grow a sheep business, such a young guy, and at the same time, represent the United Kingdom as a leading sportsman. So that was...
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours. Is casually doing. He said, a typical day is sort of 250 to 300 sheep on a day consistently. Yeah. That's shearing sheep.
I think that would be nice. I think we should, Cammy Wilson and Glenn have a little shear off. Could we and then a curl off.
Yeah. Well, we'll at Cammy in the comments.
I think we should set up this competition
and tell him.
Yeah, that could be
we want him to. We've got someone that can rival you.
And then I could and I could do it as well.
You can do it as well, yeah.
So I can be last in the shearing and last in the curling.
It'd
be a laugh and a half, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Imagine if you even scored a point against Glenn. You could say, I've scored a point against.
Oh yeah, I've been He played for in the
I let him
Olympics,
win.
but yeah.
Anyway, it was a good story. Yeah, the things that he's done, as you say, he's only 35. So yeah, no, it was a really, really good story.
And then we're going to do an expo one. Right?
We are, yes. So this was our October episode that you just listened to, and there will also be an expo special out on Expo Week. So that's the 28th week, beginning the 28th of October. So we've got a couple of our judges on there. So yeah, ahead of the show that is on the 1st of November, which is just 2 weeks on Friday.
Excellent. So let's wrap this up. Thank you for listening, everyone. Make sure you check out. How have you listened? How do people listen to this? It's Spotify,
or Apple.
An Apple.
Podcast. Yeah.
So check that all out. We really appreciate you listening in. I've been Glyn Lucas. You've been listening to the one and only, and
I've been Laura Miller. Thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you in our Expo special.
Take care, guys.
Bye.